Welcome to episode 84 of the Hard Truth About B2B e-commerce. I'm your co-host, Isaiah Bollinger, and I'm back with Tim after a brief week off. I think we had, right?
It was a nice little fall break. It's good to be back. Timothy Peterson here, episode 84. I remember 1984. I bring this up all through the 80s episodes. I think it's the same shorts.
I gotta ask, when are we gonna get to the point where I'm born? Soon.
The 1999,
2003 now.
But yeah, I was just making a joke about shorts with a friend recently. It's like the same shorts I wore in 1984, people are not wearing again. So.
They're coming back, yeah. It's funny how we go through these cycles. I think baggy jeans are coming back.
Yes.
Really bad, by the way. It should never come back.
I'm not a huge fan of either.
Die. That's one that should just die forever.
I want to continue our tradition of some shout outs. I've heard from a number of people, again, who are listeners to our podcast. I want to just give them some recognition. So Phil Santagata, Roberto Rebello, friends of mine I'm going to be visiting up in Montreal, a Man-Made brand. Also, Rebecca Lawton Flatters. I've worked with her previously, but I didn't realize that she was such a dedicated listener to our podcast. She apparently has listened to every episode, so thank you, Rebecca. Also, Harry Joyner, who is a recruiter who I love and who got me a job or two, in the ancient past. He's listening to the podcast, and I'm very happy to hear that as well. Many others, but I just want to call out a few of those today. And now I'm going to pause just for a moment so we can insert our sponsor mentions, and then I'm going to throw it back to Isaiah. Hello, everyone. I'd like to give you a word from our sponsors. Our first sponsor is Balance. Balance is a B2B e-commerce payment solution that works well for you and for your buyers. It offers a seamless one-click checkout for almost any payment method, including ACH, wire, checks, cards, even terms. It's used by leaders in B2B e-commerce, and it's as easy as buying a shirt from Amazon. Check them out at getbalance.com. Book a session and tell them what your needs are. They are the first dedicated payment platform for B2B e-commerce, 100% tailored to your needs. Thanks again to our sponsor, Balance. Our next sponsor is TradeCentric. TradeCentric transforms the way businesses transact by enabling punch-out, purchase order, and invoice automation solutions for over 3,000 companies around the world. Uniquely positioned at the intersection of e-commerce and e-procurement, TradeCentric helps B2B buyers connect with suppliers and automate payment, procurement processes to drive greater efficiency and user adoption of streamlined systems. Learn more at tradecentric.com. Thank you to our sponsors.
I think I was just too excited to introduce our guest, Arno Ham from. So actually, we didn't ask where are you? I believe you're overseas, or you're based out of Europe, correct?
Yeah, correct. Yes. So yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Really excited. I'm actually, recording or connecting here from Rotterdam, the Netherlands. So that is, I think, the second city of the Netherlands overseas. So I'm not sure. I'm the first overseas guest in your podcast.
No, you're not.
We've had Australia. We've had the Middle East. We've had Europe.
Pretty international,
All right, you guys go international, right? All right.
Actually,
definitely the first one from the Netherlands then. Definitely the first one from the Netherlands.
I think so.
I think the first from the Netherlands. I've been to Amsterdam. We did not go to Rotterdam, but yeah, I was going to guess that that's where you were from. Just I had a feeling, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Well, I'll just tell you one funny thing. I have a piece of art that's in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands right now, in The Hague.
Wow.
A lot of people, our viewers, see this. I have an art collection, and there's a piece that we loaned to a museum in The Hague. So There you
Oh
go.
yeah, that's close by. That's
really
not far away from here. So
not
all
too
right,
far.
cool.
You'll have to go see.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Well,
tell us about, yeah, tell us about yourself and
Yeah.
Sana Commerce. Give us the whole story and
Sure. Yeah, love to. Yeah, so yeah, my name is Arno. I'm Chief Product Officer at Sana Commerce, and yeah, with Sana Commerce, we believe that, let's say, by using ERP integration, B2B companies are more successful than B2B companies that are using, other e-commerce solutions that are not so focused on ERP integration or not so specialized in that area. So, and why? So you do not have to replicate data and logic around, complex pricing, logic, orders, quotes, transactions, all that stuff in multiple systems. So no need to maintain that data and logic in these various systems. And yeah, more importantly, I would say less prone to error by making, let's say, ERP and e-commerce work as one. So this results, as we always say, in better relationships, with B2B buyers, with your B2B buyers, which is a very important thing. And that ends obviously in more commercial success. So that's a little bit, where we are, but maybe it's more fun to tell a little bit the story, how we got here. I'm already for more than 17 years in the company. I'm not that old, but I just started. Yeah, 17.
Wow.
I'm not that old, but I just started young. I started as an intern and never got away. Yeah, I just stuck
Wow.
here. No, the company was growing so fast. So yeah, every time, every 2 years, the company feels there's something new. But yeah, back in I believe it was like 2007 or so. We were already like an agency, like you guys are, right? Mostly doing a lot of stuff here in the Netherlands for retail B2C stores. We did a lot for Heineken, for the beer brand. That's a Dutch brand. So we did almost all e-com. We did for them. So I was part of that. And yeah, so at some point in time, we were doing retail shop after retail shop or another brand promotion side. But then customers came to us and say, yeah, but we also have another group of customers that we want to service, right? And they are a little bit different. I say, okay, yeah. So these are we never heard about B2B or so, right? Back in the day. So they say, no, they are our business customers. And yeah, and they are a little bit different. We need to have different, functionality to cater them. So yeah, so they have every customer has a different price. They have different stock levels. They have, some can order this, the other can order that. So a lot of complexity around it. And oh yeah, and that is all now managed in a new ERP system that we have just implemented. Back in the 2000, 2007, that area, everybody was transforming from Excel to ERP, at least the smaller companies. Microsoft Navision, before Dynamics 365 was getting big in Europe, at least, companies were transferring from Excel to Navision. So then we said, okay, yeah, but all that logic is in Navision. Can you extract it? And then, yeah, we were, building interface after interface for all those projects. And I thought, okay, we need to do that differently. And that's actually how the journey started. So at the night, I clearly remember it because I was part of it. We ordered some pizza. We had already in-house some NAV specialists as well, because we were also, these were the times that you want to do everything, things like focus was not there yet. So we're doing e-commerce, we're doing e-learning, we were doing ERP implementation. So we had all these stuff on board as well. So one night we ordered pizza. We got an ERP specialist, got me. I was a programmer. I have my background in computer science. I see, hey, what if we could, just use NAV for calculating these orders and stuff. Let's see if that could work or that actually is technically feasible. And yeah, but in one night we tried to hack it in, and actually it was still with the message queuing and all that old kind of integrations, but we made it work, and that was actually starting point from Sana was born right from there.
What was this? What would you say was the
2007? 2007, I believe. Yeah.
So like the company existed, but it was really more of an agency. So around
exactly
15 years ago, 16 years, you guys really were like, oh, this could be a product. That was when you guys
exactly.
And
this could be a product, because there was nothing else there, because most of the stuff that was there was we were implementing Magento as well, I think back in the day.
Magento just started. I mean,
just started.
just
really early.
started. It's not integrated though. Like it's just
No, so
yeah.
it didn't had all those stuff. It didn't have B2B functionality. So yeah, we saw the
People
need.
forget, it's funny because Magento is very B2B now, but when Magento started, they didn't think about B2B. They were
Not
very,
at all.
they were
Not-
like, that was not on their radar. Like they like fell into it over time, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And integration was always bespoke work, right? You know, I was building file-based integration or XML, or web service was also still kind of new thing, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, from there it started, and actually then we started to, yeah, really with NAV we started as the first ERP we heavily integrated with, and maybe to explain a little bit there is that, yeah, also integration we take, let's say, the next step, and to elaborate a little bit on that is that half of our source code, I would say, lives inside these ERP ecosystems. So we are supporting SAP, we are supporting Dynamics, and all those different versions of the ERPs which are living in these ecosystems. But half of our source code and R&D is inside there. And
Oh, wow.
why are we doing
Does that
that?
mean that, just to ask the question, does
Yeah,
that
sure.
mean specific to SAP? Like the SAP version, I'm assuming is different than from the
Exactly.
NAV
Yeah.
the MS version.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that piece of code, we have also dedicated teams for that. Like you guys have dedicated teams for BigCommerce, dedicated teams
Exactly.
for.
Yeah. We
So
cross-train because they're a little bit more similar, but yeah, like
yeah,
we almost never have like the Magento guy work on the Shopify thing. 'Cause
exactly.
like the world is too different, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, we have of course many teams, but in let's say in my department we have many teams, like 150 developers, yeah, work day in and day out to on R&D. But I think we have, you know, 2 teams on Dynamics BC, 2 teams on SAP, let's say 2 teams on SAP Business One, which is the smaller brother or sister of the big SAP, and so on and so on. So yeah, dedicated resources we have. So and that differs us from other vendors, let's say, so that we really go into depth there.
Would you almost say that you're essentially like a front end application? Not, I know it's a lot more than that, but you're almost like a front end application.
No, exactly. It's actually complement. Yeah.
Systems. So like right now, most people, it's completely separate, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Magento, Shopify, BigCommerce, all these whole separate world. It's a separate application, and then you need a middleware like a Celigo. We do a lot with Celigo, which is one of our partners, but it could be anything, right? It could be any sort of integrator. So you have 2. So you're actually living fully in the ERP system, essentially.
Yeah. So we have,
right?
Yeah. So we are having a lot of things in the ERP to make it actually happen. But we also ship, of course, front end, and we have headless capabilities as well. But in general, yeah, we are turning actually your ERP into an e-commerce engine. That's for sure. And but we're adding, of course, content management and all those stuff on top, because the ERP is not supplying that.
Yeah.
So if it's in the ERP and you want to use it, we take it, very easy. And if you want to override it, or you want to enrich it, or you want to do it a little bit different, then you can do it in Sana as well.
So what do you think about your your ERP partners, SAP and Microsoft specifically, who are doing the opposite? They're trying to do e-commerce, and get people who are on those ERPs to do like 365 e-commerce or SAP, they're trying to get them to do that, versus what you're doing, which is, focusing in on the ERP and then building out the e-commerce from there.
Yeah. Now, so we know we have these, let's say, different visions on the or philosophies on architecture, right? I think it boils down to that point, because yeah, when we started this, let's say, this journey, because we got a lot of what if questions, like, yeah, what ERPs are slow? What if the ERP is down? What if there is a very old legacy system and there are not even web services, and so on and so on. But these are actually challenges when you have this friction. Yeah, I'm actually only getting more enthusiastic and want to solve it, but you're also then solving some problem that others are not taking that challenge, and you're adding actually value, right? So you're taking a challenge that others are not fixing. And Microsoft, of course, they are always like everything needs to be super scalable, really focusing on the large things. But I think they are making it in that sense and sometimes also very complex for the companies. And yeah, not to misunderstand, we are supporting really large organizations as well and really big e-commerce solutions which run billions of GMV through it, and that's possible. But just because in general the philosophy is like really scary for architects, saying, yeah, you're so real time and so tightly integrated, that is scary. But yet we actually took the challenge and put a lot of R&D in there. So what makes it different, or what makes it simpler, is that in a lot of other vendors, including Microsoft and SAP, you need to, if you make extensions or modifications or you do configurations, you still need to do that in multiple places, right? And that makes things hard. And that's what we also hear back from customers, or when they're moving over from SAP or Microsoft to us, or the way around, if they move away from us and come back, right? It's also happens sometimes. Yeah, but in the end, it also gives you more flexibility if you choose an architecture, probably as Microsoft takes, that you can scale indefinitely and these kind of things. But yeah, I think sometimes it's a little bit like an overkill, or really, I think you need to be really in touch with your customers. What we are doing, at least, is solving the right problems and do not run away from the scary stuff, like all those what if questions, right? So there's a lot of R&D there. So we are supporting also, for example, a lot of legacy or old systems, but we made it work, we made it fast, we made it scalable, we made it resilient, but yeah, that was a puzzle for sure. Yeah.
Does this all host in their ERP, or do you host it and so it's hosted separately?
It's hosted separately. So we have and in the ERP, so it's end. So we have our solution. If you talk about what is, we have a SaaS solution. So we have just our admin, our front ends. That's just all SaaS. It's running. Yeah, it's living in the public cloud. It's in you're using technologies like Kubernetes, maybe these kind of things. But then there is, so that's that part. That's, let's say, the front end application. We're having a single page application with GraphQL APIs to our, let's say, core framework. But from there, we are connecting most of the time via our own web service that we created to the add-ons inside the ERP ecosystem that we also created ourselves. So you understand, we are creating an add-on. ERPs like Microsoft Dynamics and SAP have, let's say, ways to extend or to build,
it's like modules or apps or
exactly. So we have these for all those different systems. They are certified, they are checked by Microsoft and SAP. We also always want to have that. We are most of the time using a combination of our own web service and our own module that we are using, and sometimes part of what SAP or Microsoft is supplying also out of the box of their, let's say, general APIs.
So
but most of the time,
an extension for the ERP and then your own cloud version, and then that connects.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes
sense. And you're requiring people to move over to cloud next year, is that right? I mean, that's something I remember.
So we are anyway moving. We have customers on different versions of SANA, of course. So since 2 years, we have let's say or even more, a little bit more. We have a cloud native, 100% SaaS solution, because we were coming from an on-premise, let's say, world. When back in 2007, we were not a SaaS solution yet. So we had also a lot of customizations, and we were doing project after project. So we have still also legacy base of customers, but we are, migrating one after another when the time is there for them to make the next step. And then we're moving now to our, flagship product, which is SANA Commerce Cloud.
Yeah, so we're moving towards a more SaaS, like a Shopify, BigCommerce.
Sure. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I'm curious, are you guys using partners? I don't know.
For sure.
The partnerships, but maybe you've expanded that, or
no. I would say half of our business is coming from the partners that we are having, and we we do not have a lot of, let's say, agencies like you guys they are mostly working with the with the BigCommerce and the Shopifys of this world. But we are working a lot with the ERP vendors or the system integrators that also want to start an e-commerce business, let's say. So they also see, yeah.
So,
So
it's
we
like
are helping
Microsoft
there.
Dynamics providers that are like,
Yeah.
you can also do your e-commerce site because you might as well, like we're already doing the ERP, so we can kind of.
Exactly. Yeah, they have the relationship with the customer, so we can do both. So and we also have and we are doing project by ourselves, but we also work with a lot of partners. And we have different types of partners. Like we have just reselling partners that are just saying, hey, here's another Sana customer that wants to join you guys. Can you take it? Can you take care of the implementation? Or we have also, let's say, full implementation and partners that also can extend the solution, etc.
So another thought that occurs, our listeners should probably hear, is that a lot of folks aren't familiar with Sana, right? I mean, I think we know who you are because we're in this business deep and know basically who's out there. But is it because, and you've been around a while, so is it because you focus mostly on Europe at first, or really how is that? Because a lot of Americans really aren't as familiar with Sana as they are with
true,
of course, BigCommerce and all these other players.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So we always ask ourselves that as well, of course, but I think there's a couple of things. So first, we are really like a niche player still, right? So we are, our solution is, let's say, focused and fully optimized for the Dynamics ecosystem and SAP. Yeah? So Microsoft Dynamics and SAP.
Yeah,
on
so
one
like
hand,
a NetSuite person's not gonna like.
they're
not gonna care about you.
No.
Yeah.
So, and that's because, you have to imagine that, let's say, onboarding a new ecosystem or the investment is quite big for us. And also still for us, the sea of leads is still big enough. A lot of fishes are still in the ocean because, if you take this whole pile of companies that are using Microsoft Dynamics or SAP, that's still, let's say, I believe a third of companies are using one of these technologies, right? And then you have a very long tail of NetSuite, your other Oracle or Infor and all that stuff, but that's really a long tail because nothing is so big as the other two. And but we are asking ourselves this question regularly, and also we are, honestly speaking, we are working on ways if we can move also a little bit more into making these other ERPs work or integrate as well, because we get questions from these markets as well. Like we see Sana at this competitor or this company and we really want it, and then we need to say, sorry, but you're NetSuite and that's not what we support.
They're not going to leave NetSuite because it's a big, maybe they're happy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about the ERP and how important that is? Because I think with people, they don't realize how critical that, like, B2B e-commerce is complex, like you said in the beginning, like customer, companies, you're selling to companies which may have levels within them, pricing might be specific, inventory, logistics, and a lot of that lives in the ERP, right?
Exactly. And it's super important for B2B, and it's not only me telling that, but if you talk to Gartner or Forrester or these analysts or actually also other vendors, I think with B2B e-commerce, real-time stock, pricing, and transaction is a must-have, right? I always say it's the holy trinity of B2B. You need to have these three things. And 9 out of 10 times, these things come from an ERP system.
Real-time pricing, real-time inventory.
And transactions.
And transactions,
And it's not only me telling me, but Gartner and Forrester as well. And the point is that 9 out of 10 times these things come from an ERP, right? Sometimes there is, of course, additional information like product enrichments from a PIM system, product information management, or some extra customer details from CRM. We can all handle these, let's say, side steps as well. So we are actually supporting that as well. But placing really a real-time transaction inside.
You can't transact without the pricing,
exactly,
and the customer, the order details, and all that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't realize how hard it is to extract that data out of an ERP in real time. I think people don't understand the real time aspect of that
Yes.
and what that means. Because when you're looking at a category page or a product page, that means they need to see all this. That's a lot of information coming in real time from a system that might not necessarily be the best at showing that data in real time. Like, let's be honest, some of these ERPs
Are
they
slow.
weren't originally designed for
Exactly.
showing
They
that.
weren't.
Yeah.
Well,
And that's why we are there, right?
You
So
have some sort of caching mechanism or some sort
exactly. Yeah, we do a lot of tricks. So maybe to elaborate a little bit on that. So for example, everything is highly configurable on as well as on Sana side as in our module on the ERP side. So we learned by doing, or with all R&D with over all those years. We have 1,500 customers now live running on Sana. So we know the tricks, right? And one of the things indeed, we have different caching mechanisms to start with, but also what we are doing, for example, with SAP, we are doing order simulation, right? That's, I think you have heard that before. So we are, simulating an order calculation and stuff, but it can be extremely slow. And, I've seen systems that can run a minute to calculate an order. Yeah, but that's totally unworkable in e-commerce,
and
right?
people don't realize
People be gone.
ERP might take a minute, but no one's gonna buy and sit there
Exactly
for a minute waiting for it to load.
Yeah. So you need to solve that. So what's often happening is that its ERP is so filled with a lot of pricing rules, a lot of inventory calculation mechanisms or rules, but taking the customer context, so the current time and the current customer that you're looking at, is most of the time only using a fraction of that, let's say, inventory rules or pricing calculation rules. So we can configure that, or we do tricks that we can enable these things very quickly, so that this pricing calculation is actually split second and really fast, because we are ignoring all the rest, which is anyway not important, So there's a lot of R&D, and nobody's thinking about that.
Core calculation that's necessary for that.
Exactly. But the power is still that's
sort of
in
like
SAP.
replicating the rules engines a little bit, or kind of like extracting the rules engines a little bit, or
No. So we keep everything still in SAP. So we're not copying that or synchronizing these rules to Sana and then do the calculation in Sana. So no, we are really, let's say, doing all those stuff, this logic and the tricks. That's all with our modules in SAP or in Dynamics. Yeah.
Okay. So I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's where the module comes into play.
Exactly.
The system.
Yeah.
Okay. So would you say the module is the part that kind of speeds it up a little bit, so that?
Yeah. So, and sometimes not even a little bit, but a lot, because what you said.
Yeah, but without that
ERPs
module, like if, let's say you didn't have that module, what would happen?
Yeah, no, you will probably be waiting for seconds. So yeah, imagine if you have 10 or 20 products on the product list page, and you need to calculate real-time pricing for that, and everything takes 10 seconds. Yeah, you're waiting for a minute to
one might have options, and what I mean.
So that's crazy. So that's unworkable. So now we did a lot of stuff to make that.
So we actually solved that exact same problem for Infor. So we did that.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, we've gone through that same exact problem. So yeah, but we had to do it a very similar way to you, the way you did it. So I think you guys are probably a little bit more sophisticated in the R&D side. This is something that we developed with a partner, but only over the course of a few years, but with less, I think, less budget than you guys have. 17 years you guys have been probably doing this.
So we are still enjoying this ride, and we are trying to figure these challenges, these technical challenges. We like to take it, and we only gonna run harder for our customers or for ourselves, is to say, but this is now a big customer. It's not possible, right? They have so many pricing, so many SKUs or whatsoever. No, we're taking the challenge and we make it work.
So a question for you, in the past, at least, both Microsoft and SAP have had, I'll just generalize a little bit, but they had research partnerships, right? Where they would work with different companies to tackle different things collaboratively. Have you been involved in research partnerships with them, so that you're like helping better their product and they're helping you launch yours? Because it's, then you're paying once and getting stuff done twice.
Yes,
essentially.
exactly. Yes. No, we have been part of, for example, technology adoption programs from Microsoft and stuff.
Mhm.
And that was also in the early days when they were starting their own commerce product, or actually they wanted to start their own commerce product. So that's actually how Microsoft Dynamics 365 Commerce evolved.
Mhm.
But yeah, and they actually wanted us on board as a implementation partner. But yeah, we were on our own track, right? So we separated our ways, but we're still living on good hand with Microsoft because yeah, we are two different kind of solutions. I think Dynamics 365 Commerce is still heavily focused on retail.
Yes,
We
it
are
is.
heavily
Very
we are
much.
yeah, we are heavily focused on B2B. Although we are doing, I would say D2C and B2C we are doing as well, but it's like a 70-30% ratio that we are having within our customer base. Doesn't have to say that B2B still for us can be an open store. It looks like B2C, and also actually consumers can order there, but yeah, most of our customers, 70% is focusing on their B2B.
Yeah, I mean, I was involved in Microsoft, projects that were all just POS related stuff,
Yeah.
pre-commerce, right?
Uh-huh.
And so they've been around a long time, but that's really their origin story is
Exactly. Yeah.
point of sale for retail.
Yeah. And their commerce evolved from. Yeah, that's correct.
You mentioned you have 1,500 customers, but I think you're right. Like the SAP and Microsoft ecosystem so big. Like just for perspective, how big do you think it is? Like so that like you said, that's probably still only a small fraction of.
Yeah. So and then also we all
maybe even hundreds of thousands. I don't know.
Actually, hundreds of thousands. So we are, I believe we have only 1 to 2% now of the total market, addressable market, because also there are even more companies on SAP and Microsoft, but not all are, let's say, wholesale distribution or brand owner or manufacturing companies, right? So yeah, we are not doing a lot with, financial, banks or stuff, that's not really B2B. Same story, I think, for you, right? If they are not really having e-commerce.
No, yeah, we don't really have financial clients. No.
Exactly. So that total addressable market, I think we are only tip of the iceberg. So that's why we're still feeling quite comfortable, and we are growing, still, let's say, double digit and doubling every second year. So yeah, why taking the rest? But yeah, I want to help all customers or B2B companies that are struggling, with this integration. So yeah, maybe when we have a little bit easier way to cookie stamp all those integrations with other ERPs, we will make that work as well.
So I want to get more back into the ERP logistics. I mean, one of the problems I see, I've seen some companies that, they're trying to do these things. They don't even have an ERP, or if they do, a real ERP, or if they do, they're really not using it that well, or maybe they're on like a super old version, they're neglecting the upgrades. Like, what are you guys seeing in that space? Like, do you feel like it feels like there's still kind of like, a lack of like ability for companies to do a good job, like using their ERP well. I don't know, maybe if they don't have a CTO, or especially like manufacturers and distributors, these B2B companies, I think maybe it's because they never needed that, 10 years or 20 years ago. And
yeah,
I do think
understood. Yeah, so we see a variety of things. Obviously, it really depends also. Customer size for us is really dependent on type of ERP they are having, right? A business central customer is totally different than an SAP customer. But also what we then see in the different categories, most of the time, if they are on the modern versions, most of the time it's all pretty nicely, in data management, pretty nicely set up, and they are really embracing the power of the ERP, because yeah, that's why also they choose for a new version. But also we still see companies that are struggling, or they are locked in already for such a long time on an old version, a lot of garbage in their data, and all that stuff. But I would say, looking at all these 1,500 customers, I think the customers that are really successful have these things in order, right? They have take let's say the digital transformation as something that is good and that they need to invest in. They hired, for example, an IT manager or a CTO if the company is bigger, and really take this as as something that is a driving force, or let's say the backbone of an organization, right? Because that is actually technically what it is. If an ERP is also something you do not have to change that often. Let's say, I think Carter says every 7 years or something, you're changing that, because the stuff you put in there is, how you save your customer records, or how you, put your transactions there. That most of the time is not changing that much. It's more on the front end, of course, that you want to try new things and so on. But these business things do not change that often, I would say, but you need to do that good and need to do that well, right? You also, I would say, you're investing in a house you're living in, right? Because you want to make it a nice place and not a messy place. I'm always using that metaphor, I would say.
So it sounds like there's a strong correlation with more success, maybe companies growing more, doing better, IT manager, CTO, moving to the more modern versions. Maybe they upgraded to the 365 or the cloud, and they're getting rid of the bad data. They're really investing in this stuff. So would you say it's not always one for one, but you're seeing a correlation with those companies? They're more thriving.
For sure.
The legacy ones, they're struggling. They're maybe, maybe they can't,
And to make it even a step further, we see even companies that even further succeed if they are also embracing, of course, B2B commerce. Doesn't have to be with Sana or with anything, but that's just the future, because it's shifting to, digital platforms to transact. And if you're not on that wave, or you're not doing that, I think you will not survive, competition. So we now see customers, that I think most of our new clients also are not first generation anymore. That's really everything what we.
So would you say that most of your new clients, this is their second or third generation?
Yeah. So they tried it with Shopify or with Magento, or most of the time also with something they build themselves, with a group of engineers or something, and then they said, it was hard to integrate, right, to get this stuff out of the ERP. Let's take Sana.
You just brought up something really interesting, because I think that because my career's been as long as it has, you're 17 years, I've been doing this for about 20 something. What's happened is that some of the same people I've worked with now more than once, which is very funny, like going back to them and saying, I worked with you 8 years ago or whatever. And they realize that, whatever solution they put in place, they've grown out of it, and it had limitations. And as you're saying, like if you did Shopify 5 years ago or something, and you're a B2B player, it might not necessarily make a lot of sense, or at least it didn't.
Yeah, you have like a deep Microsoft Dynamics, critical infrastructure and special pricing and all this crazy complicated ERP stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to bring that into any other system. Doesn't matter what it is, So especially the real-time pricing, availability.
Oh yeah. And it depends where you've invested, right? I mean, if you in the last 3 years, if you've invested in having the best ERP and having your data in line, then all of a sudden you take a deep breath and say, well, what else is there? And then your e-commerce needs help.
Well, right? Let's get back into, you're saying, the more modern ERPs, the cleaner house, the IT people, that, those kind of companies are doing better.
Success factors, for sure.
Also, the B2B e-commerce is another layer that's helping people. What do you think the value is? Like, I think sometimes people think it's like, oh, B2B e-commerce, like if they have to transact on it, or it has no value. But I think it's not that simple, right? I think having it as a tool, you can see the product data. I can go and see inventory. That's valuable. Like, can you talk about like where you see the value and maybe how it's more than just the numbers going?
For sure. So let's say customer story or something. I had recently interviewed Marco from Hollu.com. That's a company from Austria that's selling, cleaning equipment, for hotels, restaurants. You need that, right? That is these companies need that. So they were actually also having that struggle. That say that they were actually first generation e-commerce. So their sales force was really like the salespeople were always on the road visiting these hotels with their
Very,
their
very
book.
traditional, very
Yeah,
traditional.
very traditional. Maybe they had an iPad to write down the order, but then it still needs to be typed over, right?
Yeah.
But so they were really say, oh yeah, but then we are going to do e-commerce. I will lose all my my revenue. I will not hit my targets. I will maybe even lose my job. So, but in the end, they now see, of course, that there is a lot of value in the end. Now they onboarded B2B e-commerce. Why? Because they have learned that during the 24/7 hour, the customers can ask a lot of questions or can figure out a lot of things that normally the sales agent was not available for, right? So if they need to check indeed for inventory, if something is there, especially now in these times when there are resource shortages and so on.
Yeah,
Sometimes people.
I mean, you can't not be clean as a hotel. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So sometimes you need to call. You really want. Sometimes the stock levels are really fluctuating a lot because of resource issues and stuff like that. To get the goods out there. So yeah. Otherwise, you need to take all those phone calls or do all those emails. So, and that's all being taken care of these kind of platforms or things like Sana's doing as well, right? So a lot of these answers you can give, and you can really build that or transfer that relationship that you had by visiting them. You can move that online. And then the moments that you are there, you can spend more wisely, right? You can talk about future things or learn about new products that are coming up. And why spend your time in filing in or logging in new orders or taking the phone and saying, hey, yeah, this is on stock or this is not on stock. These things can all be done by the B2B buyers themselves, and that gives convenience. And that is something that, for example, a company like Hollywood.com has really made the transformation, and now most of their revenue is now coming from the online channel. And if you just put the incentives there that right, so that the salespeople still get their targets because it's their customers that are ordering online, then there is no problem.
Let's talk about that. How do you transition your sales force? Because that's, I think, a big part of this. Let's say you have, I don't know, 20 sales reps, right? Each one has they have their customers. What do you like? And I know this isn't exactly your core job. You're the product.
No, it's okay.
But how would maybe Sana or someone, if you were the owner of this company, like what would you do to try and transition the company so that the sales reps embrace the website and not, or like they don't feel it?
Exactly. Yeah. So first of all, I think that is a very important step that many companies are forgetting when they're starting this journey or when they are going for a second or third generation as well. Actually, is I see a lot of projects fail where when it's only led by IT or only led by marketing or only led by business, right? And the rest is not on board. So first thing you need to do is wherever this, question starts, let's say, hey, we need to do more with online or with B2B online, is to form this group with at least these 2 or 3 disciplines that you're having, right? So that you're taking this as a team effort and not saying, IT needs it or hey, the business needs it.
Let's just break that down. I think it's important. Like probably you need IT, someone technical, right?
Exactly.
Probably sales and then maybe marketing, or what are the
commercial excellence or sales or maybe even an account manager that is just like your typical account manager, or maybe the one that's leading the pack, right? So take at least these 3 roles and form it as a group, and then we see projects succeed, right? And then what you need to do is then explain to the sales force that say, hey, we are going into a different world, which is actually making your life easier. You will still, I would say also, you will still meet your targets. It will be just, it will not be you typing in this order anymore, but that will be customers mostly doing, and your role will change in something that you maybe will be more as an advisory or more strategic or more telling what I mentioned about new products or making these customers more comfortable. And actually, maybe you can also handle more customers. That's also what we see a lot with
your target. You could double your commission.
Exactly.
Now I can handle 100 customers because I don't have to put orders. They can play
extra regions.
You're making money while you sleep, and that's what
exactly.
In the end, one thing I'll point out too. One of the companies where I was head of e-commerce, they were going through a transition like this, and they had separate account management and sales teams, right? In addition to marketing and all these other groups. And as e-commerce, became a bigger deal and the sales team was using it, they could actually not only sell more new clients, just work on that, but they could also do account management, right?
Exactly.
So everybody could do double duty. All of a sudden you doubled the size of your sales team and they could go out and have more time
to get new business and do the account management because they don't have to place orders.
Exactly. It wasn't
Exactly.
complicated anymore where you had to hand off from a sales team to an account manager to deal with things. It just was so much easier for the business and they made much more money.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then you're opening room, let's say, or creating, resources indeed to explore new markets. That's what we see a lot. We are, I would say we are pretty good in helping customers expanding, let's say, so to other markets. I think maybe we also see US customers doing that, but especially in Europe, since it's smaller than the US, let's say if you're a Dutch company, you also need to take the whole Europe, most of the time, right? You're selling also in the UK or in Germany, etc., etc. So talking more technical again, or how this ERP comes into play, most of the time, all those logic around taxes or VAT, or what can a certain country order or what not in terms of regulation, what about shipping costs and all that stuff is already there. So for us, it's pretty easy to expand, or create another store for another country. And as soon as the customer, the B2B buyer logs in from Germany, it gets, it gets German language, it gets currency, and VAT settings that is applicable for them, etc., etc. Because it's coming from the ERP, you do not have to, configure that all in your e-commerce solution to say, okay, new store, what is there? It's from another country. We need to figure out how to configure that. So that's interesting, I would say. And we see then, companies evolve or grow by just taking country after country and bring them online.
Yeah.
I mean, another benefit, just to point this out to listeners, is that people originally feared that not just that commissions would be messed up or whatever, but that jobs would be eliminated. And in this case, it's not really true. It's kind of, again, as we're saying, you're expanding. You're finding
growing.
There's more time to do more things, bring more people aboard. You're growing.
And it's like, why would you, if you're a salesperson, why would you want to do order entry, right? Like,
it's boring.
You're going to make a lot of money doing order entries, data entry, right? Like you should want to, or tell people the pricing, right? That should be, I mean, a lot of this stuff, you should want to be more of the strategic value. You can make a lot more money that way.
Exactly.
So, I mean, we're getting close to time here. I'd love to hear what your advice is for people, whether they're first generation, second, maybe early first, second generation. I think, third generation sites, they're getting more sophisticated. They kind of know what to look for. I noticed that it's their third, fourth generation. It's like, they probably have the IT manager. They probably have most.
Sure. Yes.
They're probably evaluating you versus a couple other options, and they kind of, but that first or second option, and I say second because sometimes they build something but it doesn't really do anything, what I mean? So it's really the first, but it's the second. Those are the ones where it's just they've never had real success, right? Maybe a good example is the first or zero ones. They have 100 million business and they only do 1 million on the website.
Oh yeah.
So they only have 1%. You know what I mean? We see that all the time where it's well, it's only 1%, so we don't care about
nothing.
Yeah. What's your advice for those people?
Yeah, no, for sure. So what we often advise in that sense is that we let's repeat maybe myself, but should always start with this group again and make it a group effort and try to share the importance of commerce and we are telling these stories like we just told, right? About, hey, it's not about, salespeople that are losing their jobs. No, you can do more. If you want to continuously grow as a business, you need to transform from, let's say, offline to online. And that will be just the future for sure. Everybody is telling that, everybody is doing it, and it's just gonna happen. And if you're not taking that train, you will not get there. So that's first thing. But then to make it sheet is, yeah, why is it actually only 1%? Yeah, most of the time. And then we see that it is lacking one of these three things that, for example, customers are logging in, but they do not see their real-time pricing, or they tried the platform once, they are, putting a transaction in there, but they had to call 3 times because there were mistakes in there, because with the moving from a platform, e-commerce platform, to the ERP system, something went wrong in that synchronization, right?
Mhm.
So and then we come into play that we say, we take things differently. We embrace the importance of integrating with the ERP and taking all that logic, so to make sure that it's so important to have that super convenience experience for your B2B buyers, that if you log in, pricing is exactly the same as you would call or you would be in the store. Same story for stock levels or inventory. And if you place the transaction, you need to be sure that it is, what you have ordered, that you will get it exactly how you want it. And yeah, it's crazy, really crazy to see. We do also the investigation. Lately, we did I think we surveyed over 1,000 IT managers, not Sana customers, but just all over the world. And that there are so many, let's say, IT managers struggling with, tickets they have from their current B2B e-commerce platform. I believe 41% of their time is consumed by, just issues with this B2B platforms that are there with, my order errors, or they get messages from sales saying, hey, the customer ordered this, but it didn't arrive, or it's not shipped, all that stuff.
Wow.
That's still fascinates me.
We're just dealing with basic, just basic.
Just making the basics right. And then I said, we are doing stuff different in a different way. And it's so important to start, clean up your house, make sure that your ERP is good. And really embrace to the fact that you need to move digitally.
And how long do you think? I think that's also part of it, is like people, part of, I think the reason this doesn't happen is maybe they don't have those 3 people. So it's like you need to get those 3 people. You need to buy the technology. You also probably need 6 months, 12, whatever the time to take. And I think that's the problem, is that this is not like a 30-day project, and people want quick results, and then they never get the clean house, because maybe it's a year, maybe they need to hire, build the site. Like, what do you think is like a time frame that you see this kind of working in,
So I think definitely, to be realistic, it will take 6 months, on average, for sure. We have we see sometimes on these advertisements, they say, get your B2B web store running in 3 weeks. I say, right.
Yeah, click install Shopify. It's not going to
for sure. Yeah, true. That's true.
It's like, I totally agree. Like, 6 months to get a real working quality website. Yeah.
Sometimes quicker. We also have customers that done it in a month, but let's say 6 months is a good average. So okay. And but you can also, if it's still a big investment, or if it's a big, giant pile of work to do, just start small. We help customers to make choices, to say, hey, start first with maybe a smaller segment of your customer base, right? Or maybe a region or a subset of your products, and just taste and try the benefits that you're getting out of such an online platform, about B2B e-commerce. And from there, the ball starts rolling, right? We also do a lot of proof of concepts, that we just say, hey, we are trying it out with you guys and see if it's working for you or not, with a small group of customers. And then, then we go for the big project, right? Mm-hmm. So just give them that taste, that feeling that something can be different, something can be better, is, I think, important. And we are helping them there. So just start small. There's always ways to slice a project, right? There's always ways.
I think it's fair to say a year is a good time frame. The reason I say that is because, you need some research phase. You're not going to select you instantly, right? So whether it's Arno or another solution, there's the team, the process from start to finish, time. You pick the solution, then 6 months. Then you need that's just, now you're live. You need 3-6 months to get the value, grow into it. It's probably a year and a half to like really evolve.
For the first success,
to see some ROI. The second year is start to see the ROI. And that's where I think people get confused. They're like, I'll start. You're not going to just instantly see results. The first year is kind of that R&D. I almost think of it as like first year's R&D, second year you can start to get more ROI, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. Years 2 and 3 are the big years. You know, by year 3, if you're not doing well, there's a big problem, right? It's usually what's going on. It's like, what is going on that you're not doing well?
No, for sure.
Well, this was amazing. I definitely learned a lot. We're definitely gonna have to have you back, and also we're gonna have to be on your podcast that we talked about.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
I'd love to.
We will definitely plan that. So thank you for that. And yeah, it was great to be on the show. I always listen it well, you know, commuting to work. I most of the time, you know, it's the Netherlands. You know, I go by bicycle. That's common here.
Yes.
So just listening you guys on Shopify or on Spotify, and listening to your podcast is great. I think
I hope I get to go back to the Netherlands. I was only there for 2 days, but it was really.
Oh no, you're invited here to come over to our Sana headquarters. We have actually offices in the US as well. We have a big office in New York, so you're also invited there.
That's
and if I'm
yeah, it's not as exciting for me to go to New York as Amsterdam or the Rotterdam.
True, that's true. No, you're more invited here to the
I'm in New York though, so I'll take you up on that. I'll do that.
All right. So, but visit us here in the Netherlands, in Rotterdam. We are in a beautiful UNESCO heritage, old coffee and tea factory, which is a beautiful location. So yeah, definitely love to show you guys around.
That's amazing. Well, I'll try and make it happen. But yeah, thanks so much. And yeah, we'll definitely have you back.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
She'll kind of phase it out, but yeah, no, this was awesome. I mean, I think we hit on some really key, some of these things we've talked about, but I think that the way you explained it is so like clear that hopefully people get it. I think
yeah, that's the goal.
They need to hear this message like 10 times before they really get it.
That's the goal. Yeah,
you know what I
need
mean?
to repeat things. Yeah.
And I think people don't understand how hard the real-time pricing is. Like doing real-time pricing is not simple. It's not easy to do that.
It's not simple.
Yeah.
No.
No, and you know what, Arno, I didn't want to mention it before, but you know, Michael Shipper and I have talked a few times, and a number of other folks there too, because I'm working on one of your big clients here, and he wanted to get in the middle of the project, and I'm like, oh no, stay back, because they hired me to be a neutral party, so I had to be really careful about it.
Okay.
So
okay.
He knows.
Quick story on real-time pricing. We built real-time pricing for Infor with a partner. So they're an Infor partner. We did it for Magento just because at the time it kind of made sense. It was hard, man. It was a lot of work. It's very hard. And that's just like one version, you know, 2 parties had to build that, not just us. Like, and then people are like, oh, we're going to do it, you know, ourselves. I'm like, dude, you have no idea how hard this is going to be. Like, I'll talk to you in a year or 2 years when you fail. You know what I mean? Like, because we invested a lot and they invested a lot into it. You know what I mean? Like, and I know you guys have probably invested millions over the years, right? Like people don't understand. It's like, this is stuff that's you know, you don't just get a good engineer for cheap. Like they don't just like, you know, like,
correct.
It's crazy.
No, especially the ERP guys, they're expensive. No, but yeah, so that's why we took this challenge, and why we are different. And we are not so famous yet, but we need to work on that. That's also what Gartner Forrester always telling us when we are doing the we're now in the Gartner, we are niche player, and they say, yeah, you guys are hidden gem of Europe. Why is nobody knowing about you? I said, of course.
Marketing is hard. Marketing is hard. I'll tell you that.
We are not VC backed as well yet, right? So we are still
having. You're totally organic.
So we still have a little bit. I will say we are a lifestyle business, right? You know, we have just the owners. They are, you know, they are comfortable with the 3. So comfortable with the growth. Probably.
I mean, VC money is dangerous. Like it
can be.
It could be good, but it could also force you to sell. You know, like if you take VC money, they might want their money back. You have to sell now.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I'm still enjoying the ride, and as long as we are, you know, we are doubling all our business, let's say every second or third year. So then I'm I'm okay with that, right? So
That sounds good to me.
It's
Yeah.
hard to do better than that. I'll tell you that. It's hard.
yeah,
to do
that's
better
true.
than that.
That's true. That's true. So no, yeah, awesome. Yeah, when I will check in with when we can do a podcast. That would be. I love to have you guys on the show.
Would be
It's always great to talk about B2B.
One thing I'll also throw out there. We should also talk about us being a marketing partner. I think it's going to be hard.
Oh wow, yeah, that would be great.
It's going to be hard for us to take on the development and the technical side. My resources are locked up, but my creative and marketing people, it doesn't matter what the platform is. Like we can do
for sure.
Marketing, So since you have all ERP partners, they're probably lacking marketing. Google Ads, Bing.
No, yeah, for sure, for sure. No, yeah, we are always looking for these kind of.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No, awesome. Yeah, we have. I think we have only maybe 2 or 3 that we are working with in the US, but that's not that much yet. I think one in California. I don't even know the name by heart, but that would be great.
Yeah, because we get it.
And I'm very open to that, and I will definitely talk. No, for sure.
Yeah, most marketing companies, they just want luxury goods or fashion or whatever. Like we're willing to do like truck parts or like cleaning.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, of course. And maybe what also anyway, I was also busy with another project within my team is that we are now we have 2 or 3 let's say Dutch vendors that will do a check in on all the online marketing stuff, like how we are performing on search engine optimizations kind of things and so on. So if you have consultants in that area as well that can just and I just want to pay for that, it's just like that you say, hey, take a look at Sana and see, hey, where we can improve in terms of, search engine optimization that an agency wants to have, the tooling or then it's also something we can discuss.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's, I'll follow your lead on setting up the time to do your podcast, and then we'll also discuss, some of the marketing stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. We will plan to. Great. Yeah.
Yeah, and as soon as I'm out of NDA on these things, I can share much more. But they're clients' ears, and they're just,
I know that's okay. I know how it works. So, but anyway, yeah, you learned a little bit more from Sana today, so that maybe is helpful.
This is wonderful. This is really wonderful. Well, I'm going to say ciao for now, and I let you guys continue if you like.
Yeah, I have
to head off.
Arno, we'll be in touch.
See you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you.
Bye.